We are going through exercise 6C, and in this video I'm answering question 5C, which is asking us to factorize this cubic here. So the way that we're going to approach this right here is by first using a bit of trial and error. So first we're using a bit of trial and error to find out what my first factor is going to be, trial and error, which no one likes. Who likes trial and error? I hate it, but it's inevitable. Now, it's not total trial and error. We don't have to just try any number under the sun. Rather, what we're going to do is we're going to look at this constant right here, -6, and we're simply going to consider factors of it. So factors of 6. So what are factors of 6? So they're all going to be plus or minus. So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, or plus or minus 6. And now here's where the trial and error begins. So you always want to start with 1 because 1 is the easiest one to do. So we're going to go P of 1 is going to be, so it's going to be, and I'm not even going to sub these in, well I am, but I'm just going to do it in my head. So it's going to be 6 minus 13 plus 13 minus 6. And would you look at that? 6 minus 6, they cancel. Negative 13 plus 13, they cancel. So therefore, x minus 1 is a factor. Is a factor of P of x. And that's normally what you're going to find. Because it is trial and error, most of these questions are going to be engineered in such a way that you're not going to have to go through 100 of these to find your answer. Normally, a disproportionate amount of them is going to be 1, 2, or 3, which is great for us because who wants to be doing trial and error all day long? So once we've got that now, we're going to move on to our second step, which is finding our other factors by using long division. So this is our division step. Now, you can use your traditional long division, which we saw in our last exercise, or you can use synthetic division, which I find to be a far quicker approach. So if I have x minus 1, that means I'm going to put a 1 here. Then I'm going to put an upside down, if I can draw it, an upside down division sign, and then simply list out the coefficients of my my polynomial here. So it's going to be 6, negative 13, 13, and negative 6. I then, let me just put a line here. I'm going to put a line underneath. A line underneath here. So this is going to be, the first thing I do is I simply drop down this 6. Then I go 1 times 6 is 6. Then I go negative 13 plus 6 is negative 7. Then I go 1 times negative 7 is negative 7. Then I go 13 plus negative 7 is going to be 6. Then I go 1 times 6 is going to be negative 6. Sorry, positive 6. Can't count. 6. 1 times 6 is 6. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So as you can see, that's far quicker than polynomial long division. And then what we can say is, all right, that means I'm going to get 6x squared minus 7x plus 6. And just like that, we have answered it. This 0 on the end represents my remainder, and we knew we were going to get a remainder because x minus 1 is a factor of P of x. So that now brings us to our third step. Now we have to be careful with this third step. As we write it out, we have x minus 1. We have x minus 1. Then we have 6x squared minus 7x. So 6x squared minus 7x plus 6. Now, normally what we would do here is factorize. We would factorize this one right here. But as you can probably see, so you can hopefully just see by looking at it, if we use our traditional PSF method, so that is, all right, what product am I after? So it's going to be 6 times 6 is 36. So I need two numbers that multiply to get to 36 and then add to get to negative 7. So what two factors would that be? And the answer is none. There's nothing you can do here. You can't factorize this anymore, which means that our discriminant is less than 0. If you can remember back to discriminant. So you just leave it there. That's your answer. You can't factorize that anymore. That's it. And down here we could say no more factors since the discriminant is less than 0. So let's just do this. Discriminant is less than 0, and that's kind of going to be our explanation of why we didn't factor anymore. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you in answering this question. and I'll see you in the next video.